right?
Yeah, I remember my first zoning experience. I wrote for my high school newspaper, and I got away with a lot in high school, but probably the most absurd was when they let me write a review for a strip club. And it wasn't like a normal strip club. It
Wait,
was
there field work involved?
Right?
Yeah,
Right. Here's your stipend. Was there a stipend? Oh my God.
I was only 16
in ones.
This was a strip club for teens. It was a 16 plus strip club. It was pretty messed up. But if you were a 16-year-old boy, it was the greatest thing on the planet. It was in a small town.
Oh my God.
It was in this small town called sorry, I'll give you a second there.
Compose ourselves.
I say, well, they had a $15,000 traffic study done, I bet.
Yeah, absolutely. This company was setting up shop in these small towns around where I grew up. This one happened to be in Nicollet, Minnesota. I think the population is like 807 or something like that. And they were setting up in these small towns specifically because they lacked sophisticated zoning codes that said things like, don't build titty bars next to schools, like they just didn't have. God. These cities had no zoning, right? Because these cities probably hadn't seen a new development in 20, 30 years. It was just the idea that a strip club would relocate there was just something that nobody had ever thought of, right? So they really got bested on like a city planning loophole. And man, like me as a 16-year-old journalist needed to do research. So like this is like 2002. Like set the stage, like I'm wearing cargo shorts, pop collar shirt. I was looking good, Me and my buddy Tom, I didn't have a car at the time. We take his 2002 bright red Jetta to this strip club, which I didn't even think about at the time, but that was a flashy car back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't think about it until later, but it was probably too fancy when we drove up for a town that's biggest employer is a butcher shop. Like we just we're the big kids from the town of 30,000 people. So outside there were like protesters. It was originally pinned as like a freedom of speech issue, and what I realized is like that's not what it was. It ultimately was a zoning issue, right? And that was my introduction, just writing that article as a 16-year-old journalist going to a strip club for teens about zoning. And that's what it was about. And that was my first foray into zoning. So there you go. That's my
I just love.
Was it your first foray into a strip club?
Dude, and the interesting thing is like that made national news and international news. Like you can still look it up today. Like the New York Post, New York Times have articles on it. Just search strip club welcome school children and you'll see it. And I
got to be careful in that search engine. That's gonna
don't do it on your work computer. Don't do it on your work computer.
I like the fact that I'm in my mind. I'm going. So your editor sent you on this story, right? Gave you time, maybe budget. I don't know. And you came back and they're like, for real. Your big takeaway was zoning. That would like this totally salacious situation. And your report was, well, the C4 zoning code does not permit this, man. So
the crazy thing too is, so the city cracked down on it. And what they did is they removed their liquor license. So they had this separated area. It's like, if you're under 21, but here's the problem. It's a terrible business model because if you're an adult in a small town, the last person that you want to see when you go into like a strip club is just like a bunch of teenagers that from the local area. It's just like a bad business model.
Or something about stirring young men's souls or something.
Yeah, I think that's the quote. So, but they still had like, once they got their liquor license revoked due to like some city licensing on the zoning, they still had like a 2-drink minimum. So when I went in there, I had to like buy Dr. Pepper. I had to buy like 2 Dr. Peppers. And it was
you were at the age of 16 going, this is not good Dr. Pepper. This has been watered down. Like you were a Dr. Pepper connoisseur at that age.
Yeah. Dude, this place was so dead when we went in there. There was literally one of the dancers was in the corner reading the book, The Da Vinci Code. She's in a strip club. It's like Ludacris is on the speakers.
Well, she had a book report due the next day.
Dude, she's literally reading the book, The Da Vinci Code.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
And hats off to her. That was a great recommendation. I ended up reading that book and really enjoying it.
All right. Well, on that cheerful note.